talk about becoming our own friend, for many of us, there's quite a gap in our reality with that. I don't know if that rings true for anyone. I don't know if anyone else has an inner critic here, wherever has a voice that can be a little bit judgy in their head. Any of those things. Most of us have those parts of us. All of us will have some kind of inner critic, because an inner critic is part of our natural survival. Some of us, it's a little bit louder than others. And so the compassion is, it's such like a superpower tool when we can learn to actually really step up in friendship to ourselves in every moment. I wonder if you just consider that for a moment, what that might be like in your life, and how that might be different, in what way that might be different to your life right now. Maybe a lot, maybe a little. This idea that when something challenging happens, when there's a challenging emotion, the fear, the anxiety, the anger, the stress, that we might actually respond to that with an attitude that we would respond to someone whom we really loved, that we would respond to a friend, and that we might bring that same quality to ourselves. It's a really beautiful practice to bring into our life. It's a very healing, space-giving, calming practice. And so today, because we haven't gone into real depth of this practice over the last few weeks, we've been focused mainly on the mindfulness, the can we really be with this moment. I'd like for us to explore the second wing of compassion. And we're going to do that with a practice, which again is Tara Brach, Queen Tara. There's a few queens in my life. There's Queen Brené Brown, Queen Tara Brach. I can write this into the chat quickly so you can see her name. It's Tara Brach. And a book that I think everyone in the whole wide world should read is Radical Acceptance. So those are in the chat. You can check that after. So Tara Brach has a practice which has really made this awareness and self-compassion very accessible. And the practice is called R.A.I.N. And it's an acronym. It stands for, the R is for recognize. Can we recognize what is here? The A is for allowing, or for accepting. So first is like, what am I feeling? What is here right now? You know, naming that. Let's say an emotion. Let's say anger, because anger is like one of those emotions that we're all often a bit like, woo. So say it's like, there's anger here. Okay, there's anger here. So you might just name and recognize that, and then allowing it, letting it be here. And we let it be here by simply bringing our attention, by not trying to change it, by observing it. And then the I of the R.A.I.N is investigate. So with the investigating, we might first begin with investigating, well, what does that anger feel like in my body? What's the experience of it? What is that like? Where is it in my body? Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? And then we might go a little bit deeper. We might start asking, you know, what's the story behind this? What does it need? What's happening here? How old is it? And with each layer, we can get really curious. So the quality we bring to all of this is curiosity. So we can get more and more curious. What is it about this anger? How can I be with it? And then the N is nurturing. So the N is where we bring in that real compassion. So the R and the A and the I are all a way of kind of witnessing, of being. And then the N of nurturing is, how can I nurture? What does this need? How can I be with this in this moment? And so that's the quality of friendship that we might bring. And so I'm going to bring that into our practice today. And before I talk a bit more about the structure of the practice for those who are practicing for the first time with us today, I just want to mention one other thing, which is Kristin Neff, who is one of the leaders, global leaders of self-compassion. I've also just typed her in to the chat. She talks about these 3 stages of self-compassion, which resonate with the R.A.I.N practice as well. But I find they're just very useful when we're building our foundation of self-compassion to remember these. So the first step of self-compassion is, can we notice? So everything always begins with noticing. Because can you see how if we don't ever notice what's here, we never have the possibility to shift how we might respond to it? Does that make sense? If we're always just in reactivity, if we're always just experiencing our emotions as if that was the only truth from them, then we don't have any space to actually shift how we are with them. And so the first step is pretty much always, can we notice it? The second step with Kristen Neff, when she talks about self-compassion, is recognizing our shared common humanity. And she often says, you know, it's that there, but for the grace of God kind of feeling. It's understanding our interconnectedness with humans, and empathy and compassion for others is really an expression of that. So she often talks about, you know, it's when you see, for example, a homeless person in the street and you feel a compassion for them, and you recognize perhaps your shared humanness and how your realities may be so different, and yet we're all human. They're a human, you're a human. And so it's this kind of shared humanity, and also knowing that no matter how unique your experience might feel in that moment, you're not the only person who's ever felt that way. So, and not to take away from it, but just to recognize that shared human experience. And I think that feels really true right now. I think more than ever, the experience we have right now is just so globally shared. And then the final step is, can we just be a friend to ourselves? And the simplicity of this is, can you imagine if whatever you were feeling right now, and whatever the story about what you were feeling was, or whatever it might be, can you imagine if your best friend were to sit across from you and tell you this story? What might you say to them? How would you respond to that person? How would you respond to someone that you loved, that you respected, that you cared about? And we reflect that into ourselves. We see if we can just start bring that quality of friendship to ourselves. And often, like when I work with coaching clients, and we work a lot with compassion, self-compassion in coaching, you know, you can, all of these words that I've just shared, have many minutes, can be really just filtered down to this simple, what would you say to a friend in this situation? And can you offer that to yourself? And that, for so many people, can be such a powerful gateway to actually just very tentatively building the blocks of friendship. If only because when we say that, we sometimes realize how different the language that we offer the people around us is to the language we offer ourselves. Does that feel true for anyone? This idea of, you know, we can be so kind and supportive to others, and yet we have a completely different narrative for when we talk to ourselves. Maybe not. So that's the practice that we're going to do today, and we're going to weave it in with our normal practice. For those that have been joining, I'm just going to run through that. So we'll ground ourselves, we'll set our intention, then we'll go into the mindfulness part of the practice. The mindfulness foundation of the practice is, can we be really aware of what is here now in this moment? Can we keep bringing our attention to this moment? And can we notice when our mind has wandered? And so I'll use different anchors to hold us in this moment. And then the offering is, can we keep noticing when the mind has wandered? And can we keep naming that? Thinking, and then come back to the moment. Okay, so that's the first stage. And then we'll start weaving our way into this R.A.I.N practice that I just talked us through. The recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. Okay, so finding yourself in a comfortable seated position. Oh, it might be that you just need to like have a little bit of a wriggle and a shake after the day at work, perhaps. And I'm sitting cross-legged. I'm sitting up on something. So I've got my sitting bones elevated, and then I've got cushions under my knees, and I'm sitting on a blanket because that takes the pressure off my ankles then. It might be sitting on the sofa. If you are on the sofa, just try to find a comfortable position. If you're sitting, then maybe you can sit on the blanket. But if you're sitting, then maybe you can sit on the sofa. If you are on the sofa, just try to find a comfortable position. If you're sitting, then maybe you can sit on the blanket. If you are on the sofa, just try and find a way where you feel supported. And if it's available, see if you can have your feet on the ground, or maybe you're cross-legged on the sofa, that's fine. But you want to have a sense of strong foundation. That's really important, because from there the spine can kind of allow its lifting up and holding, and keep us sort of focused in a way in the practice. And then from here the eyes can close. And let's just take 5 as you come to the end of the 5th breath. Just taking a moment to consider what it is that brought you to practice today, what it is that brings you to your mindfulness practice, or to explore what curiosity is it? Why is it that you want to meditate or to learn to meditate? Just getting really clear on an intention. What is the intention for your practice? For me, it's so often so I may live with peace. So there might be peace. And that is what I remind myself when I come to practice again and again. So just setting that intention and crossing the palms one over the energetic heart space, and bowing the head down for a moment. And then gently opening the eyes so you can see the next stage of the practice. We're going to come into Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. So take your left hand. It's going to feel like we're doing opposites. So check that it's your left, and then bring the index tall finger in towards the palm and leave the other fingers extended. Okay. And you're going to bring the right hand. Switch hands. I've now got this wrong. That's what happens after 6 weeks of lockdown. Left hand, thumb to index finger, bring to the thigh. Right hand, index and tall finger towards the palm. Oh dear, I've only been teaching this for 10 years. And now bring the right thumb to gently plug the right nostril. Have I got all of your brains completely scrambled now? Yeah, cool. I'm not surprised. So right hand up, index down, tall finger down as much as possible. Keep your thumb out, and then the little bit. Yeah, that's it. Don't worry. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to gently move from side to side. So if you need to do like this, that's fine too. Okay. So right thumb to right nostril. Inhale through the left for 3, 2, 1. Plug the left. Exhale through the right for 3, 2, 1. Inhale right side. 3, 2, 1. Plug exhale. 3, 2, 1. Inhale left side. 3, 2, 1. Plug exhale. 3, 2, 1. Inhale right side. 3, 2, 1. Plug exhale. 3, 2, 1. Inhale left side. 3, 2, 1. Plug exhale. 3, 2, 1. Inhale right side. 3, 2, 1. Plug exhale. 3, 2, 1. See if you can keep going. In this pranayama practice, We are balancing the energy between left and right, keeping going. The feminine, the masculine of our energy, the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. We're looking to support balance in the body, in the energetic body. So it's a way of preparing us for meditation. Next time you find yourself exhaling through the nostril, coming to an end of the practice, the eyes can remain closed. The hands can come to rest on the thighs in a position where they feel supported. And just taking a moment to check in, to notice any effects from that practice, how you're feeling in this moment at this time. We're going to begin this first stage of the practice, this noticing what is here in the present moment, knowing that the mind has this tendency to journey into the past, to be projecting into the future. And yet the only thing that is true and real, and the only thing we actually have any control over, is this moment. And so as we build the foundation for mindfulness, for the possibility to recognize what is here in each moment and to be with it, first we have to strengthen this muscle, almost this possibility of recognizing what is here in the moment. And so we're going to use a series of different anchors. Each of these anchors call upon something to keep us present in this moment, keep us experiencing what is here in this moment. And so the first anchor is the physical body. So in each of these practices, the stages, we use the anchor to really explore what is here now. And then the second stage is whenever we notice the mind has wandered, we've gone into narrative, into stories, into the past or into the future. What am I having for dinner? What happened in that meeting earlier today? We notice and we simply name it thinking. And then we come back to that which is here in this moment. So beginning with the physical body, and we're going to scan through each of our bodies and just become very curious as to what we can feel, what can be felt in this moment. So you might start at your toes and move your way up through the body, or it might be that there's already a strong sensation. Maybe a back is hurting, or a knee, or there's something else going on, and it might be that that draws your attention and you spend some time not getting caught up in the story of why it hurts or how it could be different or what you need to do to stop it, this sensation, but just noticing, naming, as if each observation is a brush stroke creating an image of a painting. There's no right or wrong in this practice, and nor is there a quest for some kind of blissful silence, rather a curiosity. What is here? What can be felt? What layer of richness can I add to my experience of this moment of life simply by attuning to what is here? And with that attuning to what is here is also the noticing when the mind wanders, noticing and the naming, thinking, and then we return. From the body now, find your way to explore the senses, getting really curious for each of the senses: smell, taste, sound, touch, and sight. Each of these senses opens into a rich opportunity of experience. So take your time, pick one sense, maybe sound, hearing, and notice what can be heard in the distance, and then closer, closer, closer. Moving through whichever sense then calls you next. That same curiosity. Where is the mind? Are thoughts taking you away from this moment, from the sense that is available? It's okay if they are. Let's just notice that and name it. Thinking, thinking. You may even thank it and then come back to the experience of the moment. Now we move on to the breath, awareness, of the breath. So just for some moments, focusing on the breath as it comes in and out, perhaps of the nose, really aware of the sensation, really curious. What is the experience like of the breath? How does that feel? Where does the breath go? Can I feel it as it expands, journeying through my body in and out? Spend some moments like a scientist who's just discovered something great and is observing all aspects of it. Or like an artist drinking in a landscape, wanting to understand every aspect of what can be seen, what can be experienced to create the richest of paintings. And here we're going to use counting of the breath as an anchor. So we found our connection to the breath, and now as you inhale, imagine the words, I'm inhaling 1. See the number 1 appearing in the mind's eye, all on the flow of the inhale. And as you exhale, I'm exhaling 1. The number 1 disappears, and so on. I'm inhaling 2. I'm exhaling 2. Continuing to flow all the way to 10. Again, when the mind wanders, we name it thinking, and this time we return to number 1. Each time the mind takes us on a journey. Where is the mind? Where is the attention? This constant play of presence in the moment, partnered with the observing, the noticing when the mind takes us away from the moment. Remembering there's no right or wrong. Remembering that if this is a new practice for you, that just as you wouldn't be expected to sit down and play an instrument perfectly the first time you ever tried, there's absolutely no reason why to sit down and meditate would come with complete ease and expertise in those first steps. It's no different. It's just allowing yourself that sprinkling of compassion, of kindness. as we explore these territories of the mind, experience of the moment. Just moving towards the next stage of our practice as we begin to explore with a little more curiosity, a little more depth. Perhaps something in our life, an emotion, experience that might have a little bit of energy to it. Might be a little bit challenging, perhaps reflecting back on the words that each of you shared at the beginning of the session. The nervousness, the anxiety, a sense of unsettledness. And maybe that's the space that we explore, each of us today. But finding something, scanning through your life, through this moment, and getting a sense of if there's a situation that you'd like to bring some wise attention to, some healing attention. And the first step of a R.A.I.N practice is just recognizing and allowing this experience to be here. So whatever it is that you're focusing on, just taking a moment to get really curious, deeply curious about this experience, whatever it may be. Perhaps scanning through the images of your life as if watching a movie and seeing the moments or the ways in which this feeling, this experience arises in your life. Perhaps noticing if there's anyone else there. And just sensing into this moment what it is that you're wanting, maybe what it is that you're fearing. Know that it's a courage and an honesty when we say, it's okay, this is how it is right now. This is a part of life right now. And so this is the turning towards experience. It's the letting it be here. Okay, so this feeling, this is part of what is here right now. And these are the steps of recognizing and allowing it to be here just as it is. And as we allow and start moving into an investigating, just noticing if there's any sensations in the body, noticing if there's any experience in the body as you bring your attention to this feeling, this emotion, this situation. Getting really curious, scanning, maybe there's a feeling in the belly or a tightness in the chest. Maybe the solar plexus feels tight. There's no right or wrong. We're just scanning. We're just looking with great curiosity. Staying in touch with your body, Noticing what the experience of this is like in your body in this moment. And as as you begin to notice this experience in the body, we dive a little deeper into the investigating. Perhaps noticing what the most upset part of you is believing. What is it perhaps believing might go wrong in the future? What perhaps is it believing that this says about your life? What is the story? The story is what we're believing. Maybe there's some belief about ourselves, about what something means about us. Perhaps fears for the future. Perhaps fears for loved ones. Just noticing, investigating, and really finding this space between becoming the story and observing the story. So becoming is when you'll find yourself going away from the body experience, away from the awareness, and suddenly you're in that story and you're telling it, and you're there, and the mind has wandered and left this moment. Instead, we can observe that. Okay, what is the belief? What is the story? What is the sensation? What am I telling myself when I feel this way? Really curious, investigating. And we use our body as the anchor now. So how is this expressed? How is this felt through our body? You might sense and even ask, how long has this been here? This feeling in my body, this experience. You can just begin to let this experience, this part of you know that it's okay that they're there. And it's okay touching this part of yourself with the loving awareness, with the presence. And just for a moment, as we move towards a sense of nurturing, imagine from what it is that's been revealed, what you've seen to be the experience, the beliefs of the experience, the story behind it. Just for a moment, imagine someone whom you love very dearly, someone whom you care for. For me, with compassion practices, I pretty much always imagine my sisters, especially my little sister. Because for me, to access a sense of tenderness and caring and protectiveness and love, it flows with just such ease for my little sister, for all of them, but especially my little one. And so just scanning your life and seeing if there's that person for you, that person that really you have a strong sense of just the ease of feeling love and care and friendship and support, kindness. And just taking a moment to get really clear on who that person might be. And there might be more than one. So great. But for now, let's just imagine one. It might be a young child. Might be a baby. A sense of just that vulnerability, that innocence that is deserving of just being cared for, being looked after. And when you find that individual and you get a sense of the love and the connection that you have with them, just taking a moment and considering if everything that you just explored and felt around this challenging experience Imagine if that person whom you love so deeply were going through the same experience. Imagine, imagine that they felt this way. Imagine that the story, the narrative, the beliefs they were feeling. Imagine that your story was their story. Your experience was their experience. And can you just consider for a moment, how might you be there for that friend? What might you say to them? How might you comfort them, support them? And as you begin to get a sense of the way in which you would express tenderness, forgiveness, love, maybe just bringing your hand upon your body, perhaps onto your heart. It can be on the skin, even better, doesn't have to be. Or maybe there's a strong feeling somewhere else in your body that you've already connected to, maybe placing a hand on that part feels more appropriate for you, but placing a hand and just seeing if you can bring that same quality of love and tenderness, the same words that you would bring to a best friend, a young sister, a child, a loved one, to support them, to care for them, to be there for them. See if you can offer yourself these words, these qualities, this intention of simply being there. We don't need to fix it. We don't need the answers. We don't need to sort it out. It's just a sense of, I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm sorry you're going through this. This is really tough. I get it. I'm here. Whatever words feel true for you, whatever words feel like comfort, feel like friendship. And if this feels challenging, it feels challenging to have a sense of connecting to someone in particular, then there's a practice which I love, which is, imagine that you have like a fairy godmother, and that fairy godmother is love. And no matter what you share with her, no matter what experience, no matter how painful, how difficult, how much shame there might be, this fairy godmother only can respond to you with love. That's the quality that we bring, and we bring it back for ourselves. Nurturing, nourishing, not changing, not fixing, not knowing, just attending, befriending. What am I feeling? What do I need? What does this experience most need right now? For comfort, for support. Sensing whatever is going on inside you now. Offering your presence, your loving presence. Recognizing and allowing. Recognizing and allowing. And in that allowing, nurturing, bringing a loving attention. As the gift of this practice, a practice of attentiveness. It is a homecoming where we learn and recognize that we have the capacity to bring this loving presence to ourselves that we don't need to look beyond ourselves, outside of ourselves, that our true nature is this vast awareness, this possibility of holding in loving gaze as witness all of our experiences and attending to each of them, nurturing and nourishing each of them without turning away. The Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "Don't turn away. Keep your gaze on the bandaged place. That's where the light enters you." Our attention, like a gaze of loving light, gently bring the hands together into prayer position. Just bowing down the head slightly as we honor this practice, as we honor all the parts of ourselves that we may have felt during this practice, and as we honor ourselves for stepping up and coming again and again into this discipline, this practice of meditation. Hands in prayer to third eye, to the heart, down to the earth.